Yo, 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 yo. What is up? What is up? What's going on? Thank y'all for tuning in to another DnL&x Fitness live stream show. Let's go. Let's get it in today. Well, I'm going to turn that up a little bit because I could barely hear the sound. Maybe you can hear better than I do. But man, today is Thursday, March 5th, 2026. Yes, sir. Hopefully you got them bills paid. Hope you got that rent paid and not catching that late fee. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want that late fee, so get that taken care of. But with that being said, man, today we got a good show lined up for you today to let you know that we are simultaneously streaming. But hopefully you're having a good day today because it's Thursday, the day after hump day. And if you're not having a good day, Mr. Child gonna break it down to you.
Oh, you're having a bad day? Did you die?
I got shot.
But did you die?
All right, as long as you didn't die, lose your life, you're still able to wake up and do something, make something happen with your life. So just wake up, get out, get something, and let's get it. Yes. Yes, sir. I mean, what else is there to do? What else is there to do? Just keep pushing, keep grinding, keep, slowly but surely moving the ball downfield 4 yards every down. Then you'll consistently have a first down. And just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. And before you know it, boom, touchdown. So just keep grinding, man. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it. With that being said, we're simultaneously streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor. When you see that thumbs up that pops up on the screen, when you see that thumbs up that pops up on the screen, do me a favor and hit that like button for your boys. Greatly appreciated. With that being said, also, we're on Kick, Twitch, and Rumble. Give your boy a follow on those platforms as well. It's greatly appreciated. You know what I mean? Get this algorithm out, get this message out, because it's good, good conversation, good stuff to talk about. If you want to contribute to today's show, Cash App and a Venmo. Cash App is Daniel2888. Venmo is Danny-Daniel-00. Yes, sir. That is correct. And drum roll, please. And last but not least, we got to give it up for today's sponsor of the show, ladies and gentlemen. And today's sponsor of the show is going to be none other than yours truly. Can we do another drum roll? I should have did it right the first time. That was the wrong sound effect. It is. Yeah. There we go. We got it right that time. I messed up the first time. There we go. Let's move it over. Bam. For yours truly, DnL&x Fitness in the building. Yes, sir. That is today's sponsor for today's show. So, get you a workout in. If you're on the YouTube, go to the video tab. You'll see your boy have workout videos lined up for you. We're dropping them every single week. We keep them going, being consistent with it, because working out is very important. Diet is even more important. So don't sit there and think you can hit the gym and try to cheat a poor diet. The workout is good, but if you want that physique that you want to get, just know that the diet is going to play a very, very major part. That is correct. Yes, it is going to play a major part. So make sure you're able to lock in on that diet as well, because we got workouts for you lined up. This is the total full body workout that we have, dumbbells and body weight that we use. So you understand what I'm saying? So make sure you tune into your boy and get some get some workout in, get some strength training going on, and get that body right and keep that body tight. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. With that being said, we got a good show lined up for you today. Today we're going to talk about, today's topic is that why does the left support Islamists? And that's a good question that we're going to have to find out, because I got to figure out, whoops, did I just hit another sound bite? No, I didn't. But we do got to figure out why the Democrat or the leftists why do they support the Islamists? We got to figure that one out, because that's a whole L. That's a whole L. Because the Democrat people, they push gays and transgenders and, my body, my choice, and trans and abortion. And I don't know if they're aware or not, but Islam or Islamist, they may make it seem like they like that stuff, but in reality, they don't play that shit. Not at all. You know what I mean? They will throw you off a building. I mean, they won't even let you convert. You know what I mean? You want to try to convert to be down with the get down on their side, they like, yeah, about that. We are already 10 stories up. You know what I mean? It'd be better if you just, if you went off the, if you just, yeah. And if you are too afraid to do it yourself, don't worry. We won't rule it a suicide. We'll give you a hand, we'll give you a, how do you say it? a push. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So we got to figure this out. What is going on with these leftist people and why they think it is a-okay to be siding with the Islamist groups. And I found a video where particular lady had spoke with this other guy, and they kind of broke it down into a video format. And I found an article that goes into said topic as well, where we're going to sit down and go over that as well to get a better understanding as to why they even, you know, support the side of the oppressor or the terrorist in this case and what's going on. And since we know this, what's been going on with the Iranian situation recently, we're going to hear some people who were like born and raised and lived in Iran and talk to you about, you know, said situation, what it's like growing up there, what it's like living there, what they experience, and they can't seem to understand why the hell are people defending a situation that they know nothing about. Well, in that case, I would just have to say welcome to America, because yeah, that shit happens all the time. And the liberal white women, the liberal white women, bro, the most dangerous and most shittiest thing to America right now is the liberal white woman, bro. Just straight trash. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to like break this down into a way to help you understand how bad it is, but whoever got control of the liberal white woman's brain, whoever it is, bro, they are doing a very phenomenal job. Like the MK Ultra is immaculate right about now, because she got a one-track mind. I mean, she is down for the cause. She is down for the get down. She is like, I'm willing to show you that I'm willing to support my demise, because I hate patriarchy so much. I would rather kill everyone, including myself. And it's like, hey, go sit your, you know what, liberal white woman, anytime you feel like opening your mouth, just think about this, because that's what you need, a swift kick in the ass. But let's go ahead and dive into today's show, because I could go on and on and on, but it'd be better if we just went into it, talked about it, got straight to it, and had a good discussion about it, because it's going to be interesting, because, you know, it's going to be fun to see, like, when you hear people who come from countries that have been through Islamic reigns and regimes and stuff like that, you have a good understanding as to be like, well, damn, everybody getting the same work over there? And it's like, yeah, everybody is. It's not looking too shabby, but hey, you know, I digress. So let's go ahead and move on to our first video. Let me see, which one should be our first video? Our first video will be, oh, well, before we get to our first video, I do have a message for you people. Yes, that's right, you people. Hold on. The message here comes from the infamous one and only Mr. Bob Ross himself. If you don't know who Bob Ross is, just know he's a white dude that used to paint back in the 80s, and bro had a legit afro. All right, and he has a message that he wants to give to you people. So let's go ahead and let Bob Ross take it away. Mr. Ross, it's good to see you. Very peaceful man, very humble man, very, you know, like it's like like watching him paint is like hearing rain outside, you know, just soothing, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and hear what Mr. Ross has to say today. Mr. Ross, give us some of the words of wisdom or encouragement for today's, you know, today's existence. Have at it.
You like dragons? Imagine dragging these nuts across your forehead. All right, let's give this little fella a touch of light right here. You like dragons? Imagine dragging these nuts across your forehead. All right, let's give this little fella a touch of light right here.
All right, Mr. Ross, okay. Oh, calm down, my friend. All right. He painted a picture and he was like, hey, do you like dragons? And you were like, uh-huh. And he was like, well, hey, how about you drag these across your forehead? Oh boy, Mr. Bob Ross, that was his last day of work, you know what I mean? On his last day of work, he was like, well, you know what I mean? The check's already cleared, so you know what I mean? Basically, what he said in a nutshell on his last day of work, so y'all making me have my last day of work, he was like, look here.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
And drag these nuts across your forehead. That's right, Mr. Ross. That's right. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I want to start the vid. Oh, dang it! I didn't put the one I wanted up on the screen. All right, well, we have to find that one first because that's the one I want to do first. Oh, where? Oh, I didn't pull it. Oh, I didn't pull it up. Okay, it's okay. So first, we're going to start off with the Iranians. All right, we're going to start off with the Iranian people who have spoken a lot about these situations that's been going on. So first, we're going to start out with this lady. I should have found one with just her talking, but we got the we have the Jesus-looking dude who is reacting to the video, so you may hear him a little bit. But this lady, she's going to speak on Iran and how the living quarters were in Iran and the things that she's been through, what she's experienced, and how things are and what's going on. So we're gonna listen to a few people give their explanation on how they have experienced Iran living there. Then we're gonna go into the video where we're gonna see exactly why, or try to figure out why, try to comprehend why the leftist, the Democrat Party supports Islamists. All right. So let's go ahead and get this lady up on the screen first. She's going to be number one. All right, so you go. You got a little funny Jesus down here. And let's see what this lady has to say about living in Iran. Here we go.
I'm so glad to see more people talking about this.
In Iran, you can get arrested for walking a dog and then they can take your dog away because according to Islam, dogs are najis, which means unclean. In Iran, you will get arrested, not can, will, if you're a female solo singer.
Makes
It
sense.
is against the law. In
Yep.
Iran, not that you have to wear
Don't have like
hijab,
Katy
but if your
Perry.
hijab is not to the liking of the regime forces, they can push you forcefully into a van and take you to jail. And then
That's
things
smart.
that happen
Yeah.
in those jails,
Oh, yeah.
let's just say that they're not ethical. In Iran, you are not allowed to change your religion or choose your religion. If you do so, you will be executed. In
Wow.
Iran, they would line us up as children, force hijab on us, and force us to chant death to America.
Oh,
For me, I wouldn't call that school. I would call that a cult that is trying to
Yeah.
brainwash children.
exactly.
Okay, well, as we see there, there's a lot of forcing going on with the old, Iranian culture, according to what she said. Now, I'm not gonna just take her word. You know, we're gonna see another video by Artificial Jesus, and we're gonna see what other people have to say. But she mentioned, you know what I mean, like, you go outside without that hijab, and it doesn't even have to be the fact that you don't have it on. If it's not to a liking, they'll basically, how do I say it? Let me see. Where's my sound bite? If you don't have the hijab on to their liking, they basically gonna be like, hey, ma'am, come here. You know what I mean? They gonna go ahead and give you a nice little, some little act right. You know what I mean? Like they'll unleash inner Ike Turner. You know what I mean? They'll basically be like, man, now you know that shit's on wrong, right? And anything you try to say, that's what you're going to get met with. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. You can't, change your religion in Iran, allegedly, from what she said. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to ever just take it off from one person, but that's what she says, and the hijab and, the things that they're able to do to you. They can pull up on you in the van, slide you in the car, keep it moving, and nobody's going to do anything. I'll be like, well, I guess she didn't have her hijab on right. But we have another gentleman. All right, so this dude here, he's going to speak on the same situation. He's going to speak on it from his perspective, what he's been through, what he's grew up with, how his life has been, living in said countries, and basically speaking on people who speak on it and letting them know, like, hey, you have no room to talk. Because, there's always Iranian experts. So there's always experts in general when a topic happens and people start to, spew out what they want to say and how they feel and all that shit. Kind of like how I'm doing. But without actually being in said country. And I'm just taking understandings from people who potentially live there. And I can honestly say I used to work with a woman. I used to work with a woman at a hospital. I thought she was a Latina woman, but she was Iranian the whole time. She was from Iran. When I finally found out, and she used to speak to me about this stuff. She used to tell me about like the history of Iran, but more so she would tell me how her communication with her sister was really hard to do. I didn't understand it. And this was like what? 2020, 2021, 2022. She would tell me how hard it was to communicate with her sister. She was like, it's so hard to talk to my sister. We have to watch what we say. Certain things on the phone. She could get hurt. They could go and get kidnap her and take her. And I'm like, for real? She's like, yes. I'm like, in Iran? She's like, yes, it's that bad. And I was like, I mean, I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better. I wasn't informed about Iran. You know, the only thing I know about the Middle East is, as an American, you got the war on terror in Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan. And I've spoken to people who stayed in those countries and came over here, and I've asked them myself, like, hey, we got a war on terror going on. Why would you leave that country and come to America? And they were like, honestly, you know, it was just the best choice for us to do. You know, it was something we wanted, but just to let you know, they even told me themselves that our life before the Americans showed up with the war on terror was way better. When the Americans showed up, they ruined our life, but before they showed up, we had a good life. You know, that's what I had a guy tell me before when I used to work in apartment complexes and go inside and fix people's shit and all that stuff. You'd be surprised who you run into and who you meet, and, you know, just sit down and have a conversation. And, you know, this usually helps a lot. You know what I mean? Like this melanated, it does help a lot, because during like that time, the war on terror and stuff like that, you know, white people were like, America, you know, turban, you know, then, you know, those people unfortunately got to see what it felt like to get treated like a nigger for once. And they didn't even know. They were like, what I do? I didn't do anything. You know, white people looking at every single person with a turban on in their head, or anybody from the Middle East like this, just with scorn, bro. And for the first time, you know, white people like on our side, like, hey, watch those Taliban people. But, you know, from me growing up, like, they eat food that I enjoy, and, you know, their culture was, you know, would seem pretty chill to me. And, you know, the food they ate, I was like, man, they have a apartment that smelled like curry. I was like, make me a plate, because I'm like, yes. But, you know, white people were like, ew, curry, it smell like curry. I'm like, bro, it's not that deep. Curry chicken is fucking delicious. But anyhow, but like I said, I used to know a lady who lived in Iran, and she would tell me how things were. And she'd always talk about when she went down to history. She'd be like, the Shah, everything was so good when the Shah was in. And then when the Shah came in and Khomeini come in, he everything went horrible. Now, when she would say these things, I didn't understand what a Shah was, what a Khomeini was, all this shit. All those just a lady just spewing this shit to me, and I'm trying to understand what she's saying, because she's extremely passionate about Iran. She's like passionate, and I'm like, I didn't know that it was that bad over there. Like, really, is it this bad? And I didn't understand why, because I'm looking at, I would go home and I would try to like type in Shah Iran, Khomeini Iran. And I'm like on Wikipedia studying people, learning people, trying to figure this out way back when, not knowing what I know now. It was a whole Islamic regime change that was going on, and understanding what I know now about Islamic is Islamist, knowing what I know now and seeing Minnesota and the borders and all this shit going on, and Elon Omar crazy ass and all that. Once now seeing what I know now, I'm like, oh shit, that's a whole terrorist regime that she was dealing with, and she was telling me this way back when. And I didn't know the information I was gathering, but as time went on, I was able to see. I was like, oh, it really was that bad. She wasn't lying. Not saying that she was, but like she was like, yo, shit's bad. And that's what happens when you're under an Islamist regime. You know, not a Muslim regime, not like, you know, like not like a UAE regime, but like an Islamist regime, straight terrorist. So with that being said, we're going to check out another video with Baby Jesus at the bottom. And this guy is going to speak on Iran. So let's go ahead and let him take it away. Here we go.
To see more people calling this out.
This message is for all of those out there who have become the so-called Iran experts now. This is for Tucker Carlson's, Anna Kasparian, Cenk Unger, who all of a sudden you think you know everything. You actually know nothing. Did you grow up in Iran during the Shah? No, I did. And so did many others. Did you have your dad get jailed because he refused to go with political corruption and religious persecution? No, I did. Did you have your mom get shot because she stuck her head out of the window without the hijab? No, I did. There are countless other Iranians, patriots, who have experienced the same thing. We lived through before and after. We know what it happens. And for you to all be blabbing your mouth, thinking what is right for Iran, you know nothing.
Man, I'm glad.
All right, so that's tough. That's tough right there. And Buddy is an MD. I don't know if you can see it underneath these letters.
To see more people calling this out.
Right here, it looks like MD. He might be a medical doctor. I'm trying to see if there. It looks like he could be a doctor. Oh, it says right here the spine pro. So he's a chiropractor. All right, so he came over here, made something of himself, and did his thing. But to say that Buddy said he saw his mama get shot, peeking her head out the window for not wearing a hijab, bruh, that is not cool. That's brutal to see that over a damn head wrap. A head wrap, and you shoot somebody's mama in the head and kill. That's brutal, bruh. Like, wow. So as you see here, people who are speaking on the Iran situation, you know, they're like, yo, like, don't talk on what you don't know, because we lived it, and then we went from the east to the west, and let's see what you live. You know what I mean? Like, he's basically saying, like, look, I lived here. Now I'm over here in your place, and I'm looking at your reality, and like, you are one lucky son bitch, but you're very ignorant as hell to be sitting here speaking on some shit that you know nothing about to a regime who, when, like he said, the Shah was around prior to 1979, I believe, and then he saw the change happen. It's like, yo, brutal, straight brutalness, like just straight grimy. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to hear how people, you know, who live there actually speak on it. And I'm glad I was able to meet that lady and have sit downs with her one-on-one, because we basically work together. And I'm glad I was able to have a sit down and talk to her about said situation and get a good understanding as to this topic before now, because now all my knowledge just doesn't come from the internet. It just don't come from random people on like TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or nothing like that. I can actually say I had somebody sit down and like speak this shit to me way before I even comprehended what was going on, years before this even happened, years before Iran was even on the map of like what we're talking about today. So I can basically go inside with a woman who was born and raised in Iran and came to America. I can actually say I got the knowledge from her breaking it down to me, and me having to piece together her words, type up these names that I'm hearing her say, and start to read about these people and be like, okay, this is what happened. Okay, this is the Shah guy. Okay, study who he was. Okay, that was his background. And she was like, the Shah was good. And then, like, you know, he got taken over, but then Khomeini came in and he was crooked, and he came in and took in the whole country, and he just destroyed the country. But come to find out, understanding that when Khomeini comes in and destroys the country, comparing what it was to what it is now, she was like, he was crooked and very evil, and everything is just so bad, and oppression. She's like, sometimes her sister couldn't even make phone calls and stuff like that because, lucky to make a phone call, your phone calls are tapped. It's just bad. So I'm glad I was able to have that actual personal experience and not actually just have only internet people, speaking and me having to take their word for it. I can line up real life experience. So we have another woman here. She's going to speak on Iran as well, and she's going to basically give her take, and she's going to put a little background info into it as well, which is really interesting to hear. I'm going to have to interject on this one because she's going to go on for almost 4 minutes. It looked like she got like a semi-black eye over here, but that might just be how she look. But she's going to speak on this, and I'm going to interject in between here and there, just so, for entertainment, for commentary, for all that good stuff, so we, get understanding, and so it's just not like I'm listening and, pissing off YouTube. But anyway, let's go ahead and let her get on the screen. She's going to go ahead and give us her take on Iran. So here we go.
If you don't understand what the fuck is happening in Iran right now, here is a quick summary of everything you need to know. To fully understand everything that's going on right now, I'm going to give you some brief historical context. In August of 1953, the United States and the United Kingdom did something called Operation Ajax, where they overthrew the democratically elected Prime Minister Mossadegh and implanted their guy, Reza Shah Mohammad Pahlavi. Also known as the Shah, he oversaw Iran from the 50s to the 70s, and during this time, Iran saw a lot of economic growth. They had liberalization, modernization, women were able to do whatever they want, wear whatever they want, go to university, and it was an overall very liberal society. However, at the same time, it was heavily influenced by Western countries.
All right, so as we see, a very heavy liberal society, which in my opinion is, it's like when you have a liberal society, from my experience, living in America now, seeing shit go from conservative to liberal, It's like good, but it's not good. It's not good because you lose sense of family and structure and order. You know what I mean? When you got the liberal ideology pulsing through your country, you're gonna lose structure. You're gonna lose order. You're gonna lose family units. So then you're ripe for the taking. Yeah, you know what I mean? Somebody could just come in and take your Jax. Somebody could just come in and take your shit over because your country is weak. Your country is weak because you don't have a family foundation. You got all this individual, independent, do as thou wilt type shit going on. There's nothing holding you down. Nobody is on one accord. There's no family structures, no family unit, and that's taken away. So in a liberal ideology, which is funny she says that because the liberal Iran is what enabled an Islamic regime to take hold, which will segue us into why the left always aligns with Islamists. Because it seems like that's their segue in, is the Islamist. Excuse me, that's their segue in, is the liberals. They get the liberals to think liberal, then that's the Islamist way to get in. And if that's the same tactic that the Islamists use, the terrorists use to take over Iran, we should take heed to what she's saying right now. But let's go back and let her continue talking because it makes a lot of sense.
The United Kingdom, the United States, Israel, they had heavy ties and influence to Iran, which a lot of people did not like. The Shah also had a secret police called the Savak, which employed a lot of over-surveillance of citizens, brutality, and unnecessary aggressions, which the citizens grew to heavily resent. At this time, a lot of the wealth and power was also solely concentrated with Iran's elite, which religious leaders and the general population grew to resent because of the heavy Western influence and funding that the elite had. By 1979, the people got tired and had a revolution where they replaced the monarchy with the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is the Iran that we see today. Now, the new leader we see is Ayatollah Khomeini, who carried...
So they went from a Persian country to an Arab country. So I guess their Persian ideology got wiped away when, this guy came into office. Or where'd he go? That guy. I guess they wiped away the Persian when these Arab fools came in. You know what I mean? So that would be my take. I'm not sure on that, but I guess that's what we'll go with.
Khomeini, who carried on Iran from 1979 from the revolution to today, and his government strongly stood against Western influence and cultural dominance, against imperialism, against Zionism, and strongly supported the Palestinian cause. So while these objectives were great, there were other downsides to this government. It imposed heavy religious extremism and rules and regulations on women, women's hijabs, covering up all the time to a point of brutality, which we saw in the Masha Amini case and Zan Zindagi Azadi movement. Political dissent, independent media, and civil society activism are heavily restricted. On top of that, the economy has become so devastated that it's hard for an everyday Iranian to live in. US imposed sanctions to curb the Iran nuclear program has resulted in a collapse of the economy as of late December.
So the Islamist regime comes in and it seems like the economy goes to shit. Therefore, their economy basically is based off of communism. It's communistic. So when you think of liberals, leftists, they think socialism, communism, which is practically the same thing. Socialism segues you into communism. Communism is perfect for Islamists because then Islamists can lay down Sharia law, which then Sharia law is basically communism in a religious nutshell. You know what I mean? So it segues right in. And then you have this belief system where these people are in agreement with you, but at the same time, if you're liberal, you're pro-gay, you're pro-trans and abortion and all these other ideologies that they don't align with, but they will use your ass to get into power and then kill you. So I've heard. You know what I mean? So it's a tactic they use, and they're not in support of your ideology. They're in support of what you oppose from the other party. So you have someone that's cheering you on for the things you hate about that person, but at the same time despise your actions and how you are as a individual, as a person, as your character. So they hate your character, but they're not going to talk about that. They're going to talk about, oh, you hate them over there, we hate them too. And that's how they basically, you know, it's like they use trauma bonding in a sense, or hate bonding. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you hate that? Yeah, we hate that too. White supremacy? Yeah, we hate that too. Capitalists? Yeah, we hate that too. But in all, they know that when we take over, you liberals are so weak. You don't like guns. You're not going to procreate. So therefore, we don't got to worry about procreation. You're not going to bust a grape in a fight because y'all a bunch of pussies. So therefore, it makes it easy to take you over when the time comes. It's no issue because you're just weak and spineless. And then this side ain't finna come save you because like, why would they save you? So they got like this perfect free range to just dominate. But let's continue. Here we go.
Inflation is skyrocketing. The rial, which is Iran's currency, has totally collapsed, and people across Iran are protesting. Civil unrest is so tense that the current Iranian government is enforcing brutality amongst protesters. Many are dying at the hands of government officials. There have been widespread internet and phone blackouts, so people living in Iran have no contact to their family members or friends outside of Iran. People of Iran are not only fed up with the economy, they're fed up with the government, and they just want a widespread change of government and a complete overturning. There are, however, some downsides to this. You may see some photos circulating of Iranian protesters carrying the Israeli flag. This is because there are some Iranians who want to bring back the Shah monarchy. They want to have that Western-aligned government. They want to have that Zionist-aligned government, which would mean that the Palestinian cause would greatly suffer because Iran is one who's greatly funding Hamas right now. Their argument is that they would see more liberalization, women could be free again, but if I know anything about Western intervention, is that Western intervention may look good right now, but overall you'll see a result like Afghanistan and complete failure all over again. I think what the people of Iran need is a third choice, not just a decision between the Islamic Republic versus the Shah. They need a democratically elected leader who will stand for their interests while also not standing for religious extremism. More than
Okay, at that point, she's asking for entirely too much. I mean, she's doing good, but you're asking for too much. All that ain't finna happen. They don't need to go back to monarchy, but then they don't need to be under the Islamic rule. They need a democratic something. That you basically want to go back to the Shah, because that's what he was running. He was running that liberal. He was running that liberal shit. You know, you want to be liberal. You see the Western way, and you see all this liberal and women showing their nipples and camel toes everywhere, strong, independent girl bossing it up. But the last thing on their mind is a family, which if you're going to take over a country, and right now the Islamists are doing a very good job at this, coming over and dumping their women over here and putting 5 babies in them, right? And then they're doing that to multiple women. Then they come in and now they're able to get free health care, food stamps, housing benefits, and open up a business, and the business pays them via the government, and the woman gets the paycheck for the children. And she has a means to take care of the kids and make money, as well as the man can go out and make more babies. House is paid for, healthcare is paid for, food's paid for, and you got clothes. So the government is taking care of the next generation of Islamist regime that's going to come up. The whole time, on the flip side, the country that they're invading, the women don't want to have babies. They're strong and independent. They're girl bosses. A lot of them are gay, so they're not going to procreate under the guise of the fact that you're just gay. Gay people don't procreate. So now your opposing party is not procreating. They're not having families. They don't give a shit about each other. They're bickering about male and female dynamics on the internet. But behind closed doors, the government is funding the Islamic family, whether it be Somalis or, or any other country at that. They're still supporting them. They're still, because the daycare centers, that they say they slowed it down or they stopped it or whatever, but all it takes is one Democrat to get in place. All it takes is one Democrat to get in presidency, and that shit gonna vamp right back up like it never left. Because they haven't shut it all down. It hasn't all came to a screeching halt or a stop. it hasn't stopped. It's just it probably slowed down a little bit, or we just don't hear about it no more. So therefore, it seems like it slowed down. But they still getting, they still getting money. They're still getting funding. They're still got this stuff paid for and stuff like that. Maybe not as much, but it's still happening. And they still got the votes coming in time, but Trump can only be around for so long. It's like they've already let so many of them in, and then on top of that, they have their what is it? Council of American Islamic, no, CARES. What does CARES stand for? It's like Community of American Islamic Council or some shit like that. They already got their political party in here as well. They got the political party in here. They got they got mayors and city councils and people who are in charge of trustees and treasury departments in counties and cities and shit. They're already in. Just kind of take the attention off them for a while. Like move all the attention away for a while. Let them keep going. I've already told you there's 72 lawmaker positions that are opening up this year. Last year, they got 42 or 45 people in those seats. This year, they got to fill all those up before midterm, I believe. So 72 open lawmaking positions, because 63 of them are going to be open for sure, because all the old people are retiring. They're not going back in, or some might be going to different positions, but not many. 9 died. So you got 72 open. So they're able to kind of sit back and be strategic and make this next move their best move. So by the time you look up, you're going to be like, damn, these people are in positions of control, in political positions of control, with the future of their families coming in with their religious ideology in the next 10 to 20 years, easily. So it's already over here. It's just, are people paying attention? Are you paying attention? Because Iran, basically, that's how they lost their shit. They used the liberal side to get in. They used the liberal side to get in, and they got in. But I digress. All right, so let's keep going. So what we got next? Where is it? I just had it up a second ago. Where did it go? Where is it? Where'd it go? Here it is. I found it. All right, here we go. So we're going to go right here. We're going to go to the video, the main video of the show, where they talk about why the leftists fall for terrorists over and over again. And we're going to figure out as to why that is and see exactly how that works. Plus, there's an article that they speak on that comes with this. So I'm going to go over the article as well. I got to be careful with this article because they do have a very inappropriate picture in here, so I can't let y'all see that. But we're going to go over the video, and we're also going to go over the article as well. And we're going to see exactly why the left align themselves with terrorists and how it happened in Iran and how it could potentially happen here in the United States if you don't play your cards right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pull this up on the screen, and we're going to watch these two speak, and we're going to see how this situation pans out as to why these leftist liberals keep falling for the same trick, just in different locations. And if America gets tampered with or get taken over, somebody infiltrating the strongest military on earth. Remember, I think it was Russia that had the strongest military on earth, the USSR, and they got taken over from within. And we all know how that went. Because you had the Red October from 1917, then all the way until 1991 when it finally dissolved. That was like a 70-year reign or something. That was 80-year reign. That's a long time. And then when it dissolved, all that stuff, like everything, it was just bad all around. But what I'm saying is the playbook that they ran, similar or somewhat the same, but different. Anyway, let's go ahead and see why the lefties choose terrorists. Here we go.
Why leftists fall for terrorists over and over again. Okay, guys, this is very exciting. Armin has just published a new article on queer majority titled By Any Means Necessary, Iran, Hamas, and the Left. And He has been working on this article for a very long time, for a few months now. I've been reading and editing many, many different drafts, and it is finally published. We teased this for a while, and now it is live, and you guys can go read it. So make sure to go to Queer Majority. Link is in the description and also in the live chat, and go read this article because.
All right, so this article she's talking about is right here. So here's the article. It says right here, we have all, by this point, seen displays of support for Hamas, radical Islamists from young Western leftists in response to October 7, 2023 attacks on Israel by Hamas. Disturbing though it is to see terror attacks, kidnappings, and brutal gang rapes condoned or even celebrated, what's most troubling is that this isn't the first unholy alliance between the Western far left and the Islamic far right. What we've seen in months since October hasn't just been a series of isolated incidents or trivial social media trends. It is a reflection of a deeper, more concerning shift in political ideological attitudes. And it's happened before, more than 40 years ago, in my country of birth, Iran. Islamists and the radical left joined forces, and the destructive consequences of that alliance provide crucial lessons for the present day. So right now, these Iranians are trying to tell us, like, hey, this is how they got in, this is what they did, this is how they lined themselves up, and this is what happened. All right? So we're going to start with here, but we're going to go back to the video and continue with this conversation.
Because if you're ever like confused, you're like, why do all these people that say that they're leftists keep allying and keep being complete like fangirls for these terrorists that are far right fascists? What is going on here? This doesn't make any sense to me. These people are completely against their values and ideals, but they keep on falling for these freaking fascist terrorists. In Iran, as an example, and also kind of as a warning for the future. So, Armin, do you want to give it like a teaser for this article?
So I think he's the one that wrote the article, I'm assuming. I think that's what she's saying, but she's basically saying that history is repeating itself again. And it was the left, it was the radical left side, as it says up here. The radical left side from the Western side lined up with the Islamic far right side. Somehow, two different countries, two different ideologies, they line up together. And they pull their things together. Now, we're already seeing this happen. We're already seeing this happen in a way. And I'm going to show you where we're seeing this happen at before we even go any further. I'm going to show you where this is happening. This is happening right here. We got this little lady right here. We're already seeing it happen with this little lady right here. Her right here. We're already seeing it happen. Because she is, if you go in, you'll see, you know, she has a history of her father, has a background, and this lady that I'm about to show you, she's going to break down Ilhan Omar's history of her father, and we're going to look at that real quick before we get back to the video to show you and give you an understanding as to how this situation pans out and what they do and how they run their playbook on how they get into power. So let's go ahead and take a look at this lady. She's going to break down Ilhan Omar and what she represents in the past and how things are going now. So here we go.
And make regime change really does not help the people of countries like Venezuela, and it certainly does not help, and it's not in the interest of the United States.
For Ilhan Omar to make comments about a regime change is wild considering her family's history, and I figured not enough people know about her family's history, so let's recap. Her dad and her grandfather were both high-ranking military officials to the Bar regime, which killed over 200,000 people. They're most famous for the Isaac genocide, and they were like, it was the worst of the worst. Aerial bombings, executions, man-made famine. People massively suffered under this regime with the help of people like Ilhan Omar's family, who supported the regime and carried out this horror. Also, you want to know how Barr started out? As a socialist and then became a murderous dictator. I digress. They have family ties to this guy known as the Butcher of Hargeisa, and his whole shtick was kill all but the crows. So I don't know about you, but I've never been in public or at a public gathering with a butcher of people. So the suffering of the people of Somalia was so bad that there was a civil war and the regime was overthrown. Her family fled to first Kenya and then Minnesota, claiming they're like these asylum seekers, these poor people. No. They were fleeing to escape being held accountable for what they did. She was not oppressed. Her family, they were the oppressors. So for the Democratic Party to have her as a representative is insane to me. Like, that's who you want your party to represent. That's who you want to represent your party.
So as we see here, yeah, there's a history. They have a history, and they fled from, one place to another. They fled from one place to another after, committing all kind of crazy, heinous crimes and genocides and stuff like that of the Somali community. This is what they were doing. And let me see if I could find more right here. Here he is right here, allegedly. Here's him right here. So this is Ilhan Omar's father, the Isaac genocide, the truth revealed. It says right here, and I read this before, but I'll read a piece of it again. Between 81 and 91, the Somali military with Colonel Nur Omar Mohammed, Ilhan's father, served as senior officer, executed a brutal, systematic campaign of genocide targeting the Isaac people of the modern-day Republic of Somaliland. This dark chapter in Africa's history, which was known as the Isaac Genocide, was a merciless military campaign that resulted in over 200,000 Isaac civilians. The killing of that many. It also involved widespread forced displacement, scorched earth destruction of the second and third largest cities, aerial bombardment of almost every other single city, town, and village in Somaliland, and 2 decades of large-scale red terror-style tactics against the civilian population of Somaliland. All right. I can't keep going down because it's going to show some, pretty screwed up stuff that I can't show you right here. But that's just to give you an idea of, their background and how they ran from it. They ran from it. Let me see if I can find it where they ran. Let me see how the military in which was. Let me see if I can find it. No, I can't find it. But it says that they ran from, place to place, and they went to, I forgot what that lady said. That lady says she ran from somewhere. She mentioned here
of people like Ilhan Omar's family who supported the regime and carried out this horror. Also, you want to know how Barr started out? As a socialist and then became a murderous dictator. I digress. They have family ties to this guy known as the Butcher of Hargeisa, and his whole shtick was kill all but the crows. So I don't know about you, but I've never been in public or at a public gathering with a butcher of people. So the suffering of the people of Somalia was so bad that there was a civil war and the regime was overthrown. Her family fled to first Kenya and then Minnesota.
Okay, so that's what she said, Kenya. First they fled to Kenya, then they went to Minnesota. So when they got to Minnesota, somehow they was able to line up their Islamist terrorist ways with, I'm going to say, some liberal democratic folk far left on the western side. And that'll run you right into, somebody of this stature right here. You get this dude right here. At least one of them. But you get this guy right here. Old Timmy Waltz. Tampon Tim. So you get Tim Waltz here along with Jacob Frey and all these other people in Minnesota. Somehow they get into the position of power over there. Now, here's my take on this. This is my humble opinion. How the hell do you land in politics so easily? You just land in politics so easily. I don't know. I mean, you have to know somebody. But here's the thing that I have. Why does the far left and the Islamist link up? This is my humble opinion. This is what I think why the far left and the Islamist, the far right Islamists link up. This is what I think. I think it's this right here. Tim Walz, right? He had a satanic plat that was given to him. And I'm going to let this lady break down the satanic plat just so we know that it's legit. Let me actually pull this up again real quick. Give me a second. Let me pull this up real fast. This lady's going to show the plaque right here that is of Tim Walz. And I'm pretty sure she's going to read it too. So we're going to look up the satanic plaque that was given to Tim Walz by some Satanists. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Here we go.
This is Representative P.M. Altendorf coming live at you from the Minnesota State Capitol. I am on the ground floor, and as I was leaving my committee meeting today here earlier, I noticed that there is a new display here at the State Capitol, and it's for Governor Walz. It's right here on display. So let me see. I mean, I guess I can't flip my phone, but I'll see if I can show it to you. So this is what we have here, everyone. Let me read it to you. The Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the State Capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. That's right, everyone.
Okay, so there's that. Satan has a special place for you. The Democratic Satanic Coalition or some craziness like that is what she was reading. And, you know, I can also get I'll get a clearer image on this so I can read it ourselves like right here. We have this right here, so I'll zoom in on this so we can see it ourselves. So here it is right here, just so you can see it better. This is what she was reading. The Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not staying in the way of spreading Satanism in the State Capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. All right, so, you know, whoever sent him this, you know what I mean, he's got it. Now, if you think about it, when you got somebody who is liberal, okay, the way they mind think is basically like a do as thou wilt. It's very like Satanist agenda. You know what I mean? They go against nature. They are pro killing babies and stuff like that. And then you come across an Islamist person who uses religion as a political tactic, not as a true faith, but a political tactic. So whoever your God that you're serving with your religion, but you're using the religion as a political tactic, that's evil in my eyes. Both of them are Satanist, and they lining up for the same agenda. A far left Democratic side and a Islamist far right side. Two different religions lining up. Well, they're not two different religions. They're two different opposing parties lining up to fulfill a satanic agenda. That's how you should say it. Like that. Because there's no way that this lady, that this little tiny lady right here does not know that she's dealing with someone like Tim Walz who is a Satanist. And if he is, she is. Like, she know what he's up to. You know what I mean? And that's how they get along so well. That's why they're able to work together so well. So with the same thing potentially that happened in Iran. Probably the same situation happened in Iran. They had some liberal, far left people on the Western side link up with some far right Islamists on the other side. They both have a satanic agenda. One does it in the disguise of religion. The other one might fake religion or fake politics. They're both for political power. The political power is very satanic in nature. And, you know, this is how they're able to pull this shit off. But let's go back to the video and let's continue. Here we go.
Since, you know, you want people to go read the article, but I know you're very proud of this for many reasons.
Yeah, because I have not seen a better explanation than my explanation over what happened in Iran when it comes to the Islamic Revolution. I don't think I have, because I was researching this article and I wanted to make sure that I get the facts right. I was so amazed about how there's nowhere that goes through exactly how the leftists and the Islamists united with each other and brought down a country that was progressing so fast and so rapidly, right? And we Iranians know how the unity between the leftists and Islamists, how destructive and harmful it is.
You hear that? He said, we know the unity with the leftists and Islamist. We know how destructive that alliance is. This isn't the first time they pulled this shit off. They've done this before. And I'm pretty sure that these people, you know, they go to college and shit, and they probably learn about this shit. If you're learning about feminism and God knows what else, they're learning about these regime changes. They're learning how they line up and work together. And if they're not, then, you know, ignorance is bliss. They sure is doing a good job of indoctrinating them and making them believe. But when you look at it, the regime change and how this stuff goes, it's a far left side in the Western side. In the Islamist side, it's the alleged right side on the Islamist side. But to me, they're both practicing under a political push to push Satanism, Satanism. That's all it is. It's just a Satanist plot. That's it. Because it goes against nature in every shape, form possible. The liberals go against nature, abortions and lying, deceiving, and how many genders are there and all that stuff. Then the Islamists come in with this fake, you know, we're religious, holier than thou, we believe in Allah, but all along the Islamists are a political terrorist group. And even the Muslims of Islam, they know this shit. They know they some terrorists. They know they some, you know, straight up evil motherfuckers. They know it. But now they're able to pull this, they're able to pull this stuff over here on the West. And these Iranian people who've been through this already are trying to let people know, like, hey, don't let them get the strongest military in the fucking world. It's the last thing you want these Islamists to do, is to get hold of the strongest military on planet Earth. You thought it was bad in Iran. They had a 40-something year reign in Iran. Well, they still got a reign. It ain't over yet. Imagine what they could do with the strongest military in the world. And this video is 2 years old now. But let's let them continue and give us an understanding how Iran was able to take power, and see if they're running the same playbook in the West. Here we go.
And I think given that now in Western countries, a lot of people are now only starting to, in the past decade or so, getting familiar with like why are leftists, again, not all leftists, I'm talking about far leftists, Wokistani people, or some people who call themselves progressives. For some reason, they keep uniting with Islamists, and people don't understand why, because their values seem to be completely contradictory. You know, Islam is far-right ideology, and these people who are progressives are supposed to be fighting for women's rights, for gay rights, for minority rights, for freedom of expression, for democracy, for peace, for secularism, which are all values and ideas that are contradictory to Islam. And then time and time again, we see all of a sudden they work with each other, and people don't know why. What is it that they find so appealing among each other, and why do they get so destructive once they become united? So I use what happened in Iran because they're.
And that's a damn good question. It's like, why do they link together? What is it that brings them together and helps them link together? And then when they link together, why are they so destructive? It's because they find out that they are both atheists and Satanists. Hey, wait. So you, but I thought you were praying, but I thought the book you read when you were praying. Oh. Okay, now I see. Okay, you're a terrorist group masquerading as you care about. Oh, okay. Well, we don't care about God either. Oh, you're a Satanist. Oh, okay, cool. So you just pretend like. So look, we'll slow down procreation on our side, and we'll gaslight and spread propaganda and bullshit. Now on your side, you turn the religious wheel and make people think that you believe in something better, but you're just a terrorist group, and then you indoctrinate. We got something going on here. We need to put our brains together because we could take this whole system down. We could take down this patriarchy and all this nonsense, and we could just take it down and, you know, fuck some shit up. In a nutshell. Anyway, let's continue. Here we go, because he's actually making very good points. Here we go.
Unity destroyed Iran. So we lost a country because of the unity between the leftists and the Islamists. And a lot of people don't even know that the Islamic Revolution in Iran was not an Islamic revolution, was an Islamic leftist revolution. It was a unity between two groups that managed to make that happen. And I explained that in detail, and I use it as a warning for in North American and Western European countries to use try to learn from what happened in Iran so that this doesn't repeat itself. It is liberal values that are, both of them are against it, are against. It is the standards and the methodology that has made the world so much better in the past 100 to 200 years that they're both against. And they have, because they share the same enemy, which is the liberal values, the world liberal order, and they both mean to destroy that. That is why they put all their differences aside. And I show that and I demonstrate that is exactly why they unite and how harmful they are when they unite. And I think this is the best warning right now. Is I think the reason why this article works so well right now is because people are now more aware about the Iranian people and the difference between the Iranian people and the Islamic Republic, and they are now more aware about the fact that Iran is going through a revival and what happened more than 40 years ago in Iran. And because of the Mahsa revolution, more people are aware of that, and also because more people are now aware because of after October 7th, a lot of people saw how many people in the streets of European countries and North American countries came out, and even Australia, they came out in support of Hamas. So because there's more.
Okay, so part of what he's talking about also is this right here. I'm going to go ahead and read on to some of this as well, because he is speaking about this, but I want to read this as well as go over the video. So we have the Red and Black Alliance. So in 1979, Iran underwent a Islamic revolution that reversed decades of progress in economic development, women's rights, education, health, and more. But why would a country that has taken such stride towards a promising future undergo revolution? Well, to understand this, it's important to recognize that the so-called Islamic revolution in Iran was not purely Islamic. It was initiated by leftists and executed by both leftists and Islamists. We are literally seeing that shit now in America. Literally. Many mullahs. Oh man, what is mullahs? Mullahs. Oh, there was a dude that broke down what a mullah was. I'll go to him in a second. Including the Ayatollah Khomeini, grew increasingly enraged with Iran's rulers, the Shah and his son, Mohammad Reza Shah. He was the last of the Pahlavi royal dynasty. Due to their progressive reforms concerning women's rights, these reforms perceived as westernized and contrary to Islamic values were instrumental in inflaming the discontent that fueled the Islamic Revolution. However, the mullahs themselves lacked the political skills necessary to instigate a revolution on their own. See, so they had an issue with everything, but they needed a way in. They just couldn't find a way in. Let's see if they found it in. In the years leading up to the revolution, Iranian leftists, deeply influenced by revolutionary communist theories and literature, were also growing restless and impatient. Lacking the means to mobilize a people's revolution independently, these leftists found allies in the Islamic clerical establishment. The mullahs, with their extensive network in mosque and influence over the populace, provided the perfect machinery for an uprising. Together, they were powerful enough to overthrow the system. This ideological fusion between the secular left and the Islamic right, a phenomenon Mohammed Shah referred to as the unholy alliance between the black and the red. Red signifying the communists and the black, the mullahs, lies at the very crux of the revolution. The red half of the alliance reframed, in the eyes of many Western left-wing thinkers, what would otherwise have been viewed as a reactionary religious uprising to a revolution against the detrimental impacts of colonialism and capitalism. Okay. So I'm going to figure out what mullahs is, and we're going to watch a little bit more of this video, and I'm going to pull up this other video where this guy goes in and kind of breaks this down. But let's continue this video and let's keep going. Here we go.
For awareness of both of these, I think bringing these together and showing what happened in Iran is exactly what's now happening in Western countries. It serves as a very good warning, the most timely warning that you could that you could have. So again, if you are concerned about what's happening, and if you want to use history and what happened in Iran to warn people in Western countries about not supporting Islamism, and also to be mindful of the woke Islamist alliance, like we had Marxist Islamist alliance back 40 years ago back in Iran, and now we're having woke Islamist alliance in Western countries. If you want to warn people, please share this article with them. I also want to mention that.
Okay, yes, do want to warn people, and I am sharing this article. We are reading it. So let me go ahead and pull up this quick video real quick. This is a short where this guy kind of spoke on it, and he mentioned the mullahs. So I want to see exactly, he's going to break down what the mullahs are because I'm very intrigued about what they are. But this guy's going to go in. He's an Iranian, an ex-Muslim who exposes Islam. Let's see how he feels coming from Iran and how he exposes Islam. Let me go ahead and pull him up on the screen. Buddy Boy's about to go in, and he's going to give you a breakdown on his situation dealing with it. So here we go. Let's let him take it away.
Islam. Islamophobe. Yeah, Islamophobe. That's not how it works. There's no such thing as Islamophobe when you know Islam, when you're born in an Islamic country. Like me, like Iranians, like Egyptians, like Syrians, like Lebanese people. When you know Islam, when you saw what Islam is doing, when you see the scripture, when you know Hadith, when you know Quran, when you know the Muftis and Imams, when you know Sunnis, when you know Shias, there's no such thing as Islamophobia. We have Islamo-trauma. We are Islamo-traumatized. Yeah, I'm traumatized by Islam because I saw the Muslims kill people, women, kidnapping people, and doing all of these using ayahs and surahs of Quran. I saw Sunnis doing all this using hadith too. How do you want to label people as Islamophobe when we know actually what Muslims are capable of doing? All the Muslims are running away from their own countries and coming to the West. Why? If Islam is so good, if Islamic countries are amazing, why don't you stay in an Islamic country? Why do you see mass migration from Islamic countries to Western Christian countries? Why? Explain it right now. You can't even say be like, but the verses and the ayahs and in this surah and that surah, it was just for that time. It was just for that one war that Muhammad was fighting. You can't even do that because that means the word of your Allah, the word of your God is not binding, is not eternal. Is the word of Allah binding? Then what Allah said in Surah 9, verse 29, Surah 9, remember, is a very aggressive surah. It's a very aggressive chapter. Verse 29 of that surah is ordering Muslims to fight people who don't believe in Allah and the last day and Muhammad, and to subjugate them and impose jizya, impose a tax on them. This is how they took all the land in the Middle East. That land in the Middle East, all those countries do not belong to Muslims. Let's keep it real. Iran is not an Islamic country. Syria was not an Islamic country. Iraq was not an Islamic country. Lebanon was not an Islamic country, and definitely Israel, Judea, Samaria was not an Islamic country. Y'all stole all that land from the people. Egypt was not an Islamic country. Egypt was a Christian country. Coptic Christians. It's famous. When Muslims attack, they kill the people, they kidnap the kids, they raise them as Mamluks. Mamluk is a kid that's castrated. Slave kids. That's what they do. This is in Islam, this is in Hadith, this is in Quran. And they're gonna be like, but Surah 2 verse 256 said there is no compulsion in religion. That was before Muhammad took over Mecca. All those peaceful verses and peaceful surahs were abrogated by future verses. Yes, there are peaceful verses in Quran too. Yes, there are. All those verses, all those surahs are abrogated by future wartime surahs and verses. What you want to do about that? Nothing. You can't even come up with an explanation anymore. All you need to do is leave certain things in Islam, a lot of parts of Islam, in the past because it's aggressive. It's against human rights. You have slavery in Quran. How do you want to justify slavery in Quran? Explain it. Let people see. Come on. Who's your best mufti? Who's your best imam? Bring them on. Let me debate you on live. Let's show the people. I want thousands of people in front of us. I'm not going to use any aggressive books or any aggressive sources against you. I'm going to use Quran and I'm going to use Hadith. Listen to this Iranian ex-Muslim.
Okay, so as you see, that young gentleman right there was going in and breaking this stuff down. And the word he used was like mama looks or something like that. So I had the wrong word. The word I was looking for was mullah, the one I was reading, which I actually found. And it says a mullah is an honorific title for Muslim clergy and imams. So that's what that is, basically. So I had it wrong. He said mama looks or something. It was a different word. But one thing I can say that he has in common with when I heard somebody break it down to me and speak to me about Iran and what was going on was the passion in his voice when he had to speak about living in Iran under, you know, whatever he was living under Islamic rule. How bad shit is. And they're all saying the same thing. Everybody that I'm showing you, they're all saying the same thing. They're all coming to giving you the same conclusion. What he's saying, how bad it is. He's saying how bad it is. No, not her. What he's saying is how bad it is. What this other, well, if I could show you the person. What she said is how bad it was. How she explained how everybody's coming to the same conclusion. Everybody is the same conclusion. It's like, yo, this shit ain't good. It's just bad. And this guy that we're going to continue watching the video on is giving the breakdown as to how they get into power. They use the far left wing. They use the far left liberal mindset, and then they align it up with the Islamic far right wing. And these two come together and form some kind of unholy alliance. Like I said, it's satanic because you got Tim Waltz, who has this fucking satanic plaque, and you got Ilhan Omar, who is an Islamist terrorist. She came together with a far left dude, and she's a far right Islamist terrorist, and they're coming together. We're seeing it play out. We're seeing it happen. But let's continue watching the video. Here we go.
How this whole idea of leftists and Islamists coming together was coined as the unholy unity of red and black by Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, Muhammad Reza Shah, which was the last king of the Pahlavi dynasty before the Islamic Revolution of Iran. He called it the Irtijai Sorkhosiyah, which means the unholy unity, or the backward or the regressive unity between black and red representing the communists or the Marxists, and black representing the mullahs. So yeah, so just go read this article. I think it summarizes everything that happened very well, with actual quotes and historical events, and then also connects that to everything now that we're seeing happening in the streets of.
Okay, so he mentioned that, and here's one thing that I do want to point out. He mentioned, you know, everything was, he was what's the guy, the Shah. Let me pull up the Shah on the screen real quick so you can see what I'm seeing. Let me just show you real quick. Where is it? Where'd it go? I just had it. Oh shit. Oh well, I'll just pull it back up. Where did it go though? I literally just had it up here. How the hell did it go away? I had the Shah up here. Anyway, he spoke on the Shah. Let me go ahead and pull up the Shah. Let's see. Shah. There we go. We'll do it again. I don't know why that happened that way. All right, so he spoke on the Shah. And one thing about the Shah, and I've went over Iran before, and one thing about the Shah, from what I understand, and I'll show you right here, is that we've already seen that people always say that Iran is not an Islamic country. That they're not Islams. They're not Arabs. They're Persians. And if you look right here, we look at the Shah. He was the last Shah of Iran from 41 to 79. He succeeded his father. He ruled the imperial state of Iran until he was overthrown by the Islamic Revolution led by Khomeini. And right here, he was the second and last ruling monarch of the Pahlavi dynasty, if I said that correctly. Well, we look up the Pahlavi dynasty, and we see right here, Pahlavi dynasty, Persian. Persian. Is an Iranian royal dynasty that was the last to rule Iran before the country monarch was overthrown by the Iranian Revolution. So they came in and completely took over the Persian and made it Islamic, which is similar to what America's going through. America is going through a situation where they're trying to come in and take over American and make it Islamic or Muslim. And I'll show you right here. This right here should tell you everything you need to know. They got their own little funky ass website right here. CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. This is them going in, fighting at the voting poll and the voting booths and becoming, you know, in positions of power. Their vision. CAR vision is to be a leading advocate for justice and mutual understanding. Bullshit. CAR's mission is to enhance understanding of Islam or Islamic, protect civil rights, promote justice, and empower American Muslims. So they're literally trying to come in and change American and make things Islamic. The same way they did shit in Iran, where they changed it from Persian to Islamic. And they even said that they went in and changed their flag. Now, I had somebody mention a flag the other day, and let me see if they changed the Minnesota flag. Let's see. Minnesota flag change. Oh shit, it came up. Did they change the flag in Minnesota? Let's see. Minnesota officially adopted a new flag on May 11, 2024. Redesign process initiated in 2023 due to criticism over previous flag complexity and depiction of indigenous people. Okay. So let's see. Did they change it? Light blue infused, 8-pointed star. So they did change it. I'll show you while I'm over talking. So here's the the flag. It was adopted on May 11, 2024. A blue star representing the night sky, the state shape, an 8-pointed star symbolizing a North Star, light blue thing, whatever. All right, so the flag has undergone several redesigns since its first in 1893. So they changed the flag of Minnesota. But right now, if you know anything about Minnesota, Minnesota is heavily Islamic right now. That's basically where they're at, slowly but surely. But we're seeing the same playbook being ran, is what I'm saying. They're seeing the same playbook. They went over, took over the Shah, and changed the country from a Persian country to an Islamic country. And over here, they have their whole little council going on. They got their whole care going on over here. Council of American Islamic Relations. They got their whole terrorist organization set up. Fight hate, counter Islamophobia, countering Islamophobia, trying to make it seem like people are against, is Islamic people, but you're literally using the far left as a means to take over the country with aligning Islamic far right. The same playbook you ran in Iran, you're doing it over here in the West. And as you can see, what we do, Islamophobia undermines the safety, dignity, and rights of American Muslims, perpetuating a climate of fear and exclusion. Carr has been at the forefront of the battle against hate, leveraging legal action, public education campaigns, and community outreach to challenge discriminatory practices and rhetoric. By holding institutions accountable and fostering cross-cultural dialogue, Carr's effort has been instrumental in reducing hate crimes and building more inclusive national narrative. That's a bunch of that is a crock of shit. Because we're seeing they're literally doing the same playbook. They're doing it all over again. Now, where could I go? There's something I want to show right here. Let's see. Where was it? Right here. It says the government affairs. Carr's government affairs department conducts and organizes lobbying efforts on issues related to Islam and Muslims. The department monitors legislations and government activities and responds on behalf of American Muslim community. They don't give a fuck about Americans at all. They don't care about Americans. They care about the American Muslim, which is the Islamist. That's who they care about. They don't give a damn about nothing else. So they're running the same playbook that this very dude that we're watching the video on is talking about. It's the same playbook. It's the same playbook. I just want to bring awareness to it. Now, he mentioned about reading this, so I'm going to go ahead and read more of this right here so we can kind of catch up on what he was talking about. We're going to go in and read a little bit more of this right here. So here we go right here. We're going to continue reading this document that he was mentioning. Starting here. In the years leading up to the revolutions, Iranian leftists, deeply influenced by the revolutionary communist theories and literatures, I think I read this already, but we'll keep going, were also growing restless and impatient, lacking the means to mobilize a people's revolution independently. These leftists found allies in the Islamic clerical establishment. The mullahs, which is the honorable people that I just told you about earlier, with their extensive network and mosque and influence over the populace, provided the perfect machinery for uprising for an uprising. Together, they were powerful enough to overthrow the system. This ideological fusion between the secular left and Islamic right, a phenomenon with the Shah had referred to as an unholy alliance between black and red, signify the communists and the black mullahs, lies at the very crux of the revolution. The red half of the alliance reframed in the eyes of many Western left-wing thinkers. The red half of the alliance reframed in the eyes of many left-wing thinkers would otherwise have been viewed as a reactionary religious uprising into a revolution against the detrimental impact of colonialism and capitalism. A key architect in building the ideological framework for the Islamic Revolution was the Iranian sociologist Ali Shariati. Influenced by his time among Persian radicals in the 60s, he sought to reinterpret Islam with a strong emphasis on social justice and anti-imperialism by incorporating elements of revolutionary Marxism. He aimed to synthesize these schools of thought to mobilize the Muslim masses, especially the kids, the youth, against imperialism and to promote social change within Islamic framework. His Islamic left ideology was the single most influential doctrine that led to the 79 revolution. The revolution succeeded The Shah were deposed, and Khomeini emerged as the leader of Iran, and it didn't take long after the success of the revolution, however, for leftist ideas to be jettisoned. And then it starts with the hijab. So we're going to go back to watch some of the video, and now we're going to see what happens when he came into play. All right, let me go back real quick, and let me just make sure I got my vocabulary right. Jettison. New vocabulary word. Throw or drop from an aircraft or ship. Jettison means to throw or drop. Okay, so basically what they said right here, just to make sure my vocabulary is good. It didn't take long after the success of the revolution, however, for leftist ideas to be dropped. So they used them to get what they wanted, and as soon as Khomeini got into play as the emerged leader of Iran, not long after the success, it didn't take long to drop the ideas of the leftists. Oh my goodness, it says it right there. But this is the document that guy read. All right, I mean that guy wrote. But let's go back to the dude and let's watch a little bit of this video and let's continue. So here we go. Let's continue with these two.
Western countries.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I first ditched.
Not Ryan Reynolds, bro. You're screwing up my show. That sucks. Anyway, we're going to go back and continue on with them talking about this. I'm going to probably finish reading up the document. I just want to hear a little bit more on what they have to say or what he has to say. And if not much, then we're going to just wrap this up and I'm going to read that document and get up out of here. But here we go. Let's let him go. Let's let him cook.
Yeah, I loved this article because you give a lot of specifics. You go back and actually quote people in their own words that explicitly explain why they're doing this alliance and how they're overlooking their differences for the sake of achieving a certain goal. And also, I think this is super valuable. And I think that this alliance is becoming more and more mainstreamed. Like every single week, I think it is more and more mainstreamed. I used to think it was, and maybe it used to be more of kind of a tanky, more fringe, authoritarian, communist kind of alliance affinity. But more and more, I am now seeing it mainstreamed into mainstream progressivism, quote unquote. To the point that I have nearly entirely dismissed the movement. I mean, we see so-called progressives like Kyle Klawinski saying that the Houthis did the right thing. It is mainstreamed. It's mainstreamed. This used to be like a tanky thing. And so, yeah, more people need to understand exactly like what's at play here and the roots of it, and then also the cost of it and what the likely result of it will be. Because the likely result of it is that all of you useful progressive idiots get hanged in mass. If we want an example, we can look at what happened to MEK in the 80s. And I'm no MEK fan, let me be clear. But no one deserves what happened to them.
All right, so let me go back and continue reading this thing. Because basically that's what they're talking about is this article that he wrote. So I'll just read the article. It's really no point because they're just going over this article. So let's just go ahead and read this. So Khomeini gets into power and he basically drops the leftist ideas as soon as he got into power. Not shortly after the success of the revolution, Khomeini basically dropped the leftist ideas. The leftist ideas were jettisoned. They were dropped. So here we go. The hijab. In the very first year of the new regime, Khomeini decreed mandatory veiling for women at work on March 7, 1979. On March 8, International Women's Day, women took to the streets in large-scale protests against the compulsory hijab. Women on the left, who once adopted the veil as a sign of resistance during the revolution, did not anticipate it becoming mandatory. We didn't have a revolution to go backwards, the crowds chanted. Oh no. You telling me that the left libtards didn't see that they were going to get turned on? You idiots. Oh boy, they were like, wait a minute, I thought we were on the same side. He was like, basically, he said, basically what he said was, look here, little bitch, this is how I feel about you hoes.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
All you ones on the left side that helped me get here, thank you. But now, put the veil on. And if you got a problem with that, yeah, exactly. So the veil mandate was perceived by many as a sign that women who had actively participated in the revolutions were now back to dog status. Oof. As a protest leader put it, the civil rights women had gained during the Shah's rule were suddenly at risk. All that work y'all did for liberalism, that shit went down the drain. Way to go, you dumbasses. Dumbasses. Homa, I can't say this name, Homa, an active participant in the revolution, was present at the March 8th women's protest. Demonstrating her commitment to the leftist cause, Homa famously stated, "Women of Iran are used to hijabs, have no problem with hijabs." She believed that wearing the hijab was a minor sacrifice in pursuit of greater goals. If the hijab was the only means to get free of imperialism, if it's the price, we'll pay. She went as far as to hyperbolically say hijab is not our woman's problems, and to fight against imperialism, if necessary, we will even wear a blanket. Let's see how the Shah took, not Shah, let's see how Khomeini took that. In a self-reflective interview years after the 1979's Women's Day protests, Homa recounted her pivotal role in those events. She described approaching female demonstrators, urging them to cease their protest, stop protesting, under the belief that unity with the mullahs was more important, paramount. We must have a united voice with the mullahs, she said. Homa acknowledged her significant influence, admitting, "It was me who finished the women's protest. I was the reason for it because left parties were listening to me." She recalled the heartbreaking confusion of the protesting women who feared a backslide of women's rights. Lots of sad female protesters, I bet it was, came to me to question my act. They told me, "It's not going to get right. This suppression is going to get worse." Yeah, I'm going to have to say she's right on that. Despite their pleas, Homa convinced them, stop. Influenced by the leftist party stance, leading to her self-professed betrayal of Iranian women. I was an important part of it. Right? They were moving their veils on top of their heads, hoping that somebody would help them. Nobody came. None of the parties went to join them. In a subsequent apology to the Iranian women, Homa expressed regret for her actions and the unforeseen consequences. "I did not think that the person who tells me how to dress will later tell me how to think." Oh no. Oh. Look at there. Yo liberal-minded ass. You over here thinking, oh, anything to take down patriarchy, anything to take down imperialism and capitalism and patriarchy. We don't want to be under the rule of family and guidance. Yeah, okay. Well, we're at the Horseshoe Apologia, if I said that right. Anyway, Sadiq Kalakali, I think I said that right. Sadiq Kalakali, a hardline cleric and head of the Islamic Revolutionary Court after the revolution, was infamous for his harsh and brutal judgment. Often brutal, that is, including ordering the execution of many associated with the previous regime. Damn. In this, he was supported by the Tudeh Party, the Iranian Communist Party, in other words. According to the Iranian newspapers, the method of the Tudeh Party after the revolution was the same as it had been observed over many years. The Tudeh Party, when perceived people's demands against the financial corruption of the monarchy, quickly identified liberalism as treason and counter-revolutionary. Oh boy, talk about a heel turn. Wow. And openly branded the provisional government as a representative of imperialism. Alongside such an approach, when it realized that Islamism was the dominant discourse in society, it presented itself as a defender of the Islamic government, even notating Sadi as the party's supported candidate in elections, and even supported the proposal of the Islamic Republic favored by Imam Khomeini, in contrast to the Democratic Republic proposed by Mehdi Bazargan, if I said that right. All right, so as you can see, as soon as they got into play, they was like, hey, you liberals, hey, you liberals, hey, you liberals, all you strong and independent women, hey, you liberals, listen here.
FYM. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, you know?
Appreciate the help that you gave us. Thank y'all for giving us this power. Now all of you women, stand in line. If you got a problem with it, shut up. And before we execute you, you're going to get down in the 3-point sands. We're going to clap your cheeks, and then we're going to chop your head off. I just had to add that part in there. And I'm not laughing at the Iranian situation. I'll make that clear. I'm not laughing at how the Iranian people were treated. That's not what I'm doing. I'm bringing light to Westerners to show them that the Iranian people are trying to tell us, like, hey, this is how we got in the position that we're in. The difference between Iran and America is that America has the largest military on earth, and everybody will probably be fucked if they got control. So I'm just trying to, put it into perspective to help people understand if the liberals, how they get into power is they use the liberals left and they mix it with the Islamic far right, a terrorist and liberal. They merge together and they think they're on the same page. But once again, what happens to the liberals? What happens to the liberals? Let me zoom in. The liberals line up with Islamic terrorists on the far right. They merge together in this unholy alliance. And what happens to the liberals? Who ends up running shit? Yes, you guessed it. The patriarchy, you stupid dumbasses. That's what happens. You get ran by a patriarchy, and the patriarchy that you hated, this patriarchy is fatal, and it will kill you. The last patriarchy that you complained about, that let you have OnlyFans and have sex all you wanted, yeah, they shut that shit down. Now you got to wear a head wrap on your head and think we on the same page. No, so you still get ran by a patriarchy. At the end of the day, a man still dominates you liberals. Still get ran by a patriarchy. The only difference is it's a communist patriarchy, not imperialist or capitalist, whatever you want to call it. So there's that. Let's keep reading. All right, so where we at? Oh man, these names, boy. These names. Nordine Kianori, a prominent Tudeh member, defended his party stance in supporting Kalakali by saying that these actions were necessary to suppress counter-revolutionary elements and those who supported the former imperial regime. So basically, they was like, they ain't finna uprise up ever again. So anybody who were supportive of anything either liberal or Persian, we're shutting that shit down, is what they're saying. In weekly Q&A sessions held in the early days of the revolution, he said that Kalakali has rendered valuable services in the field of suppressing counter-revolutionaries, criminals, and proponents of the former regime. With unparalleled courage, he sent hundreds of the most important figures of imperialism to the firing squad. Holy shit. Damn. Yo, these people are... Damn. The Tahu party leadership thought that by intensifying the anti-American aspect of the revolution and courting the support of the Soviet Union, the Islamic Republic would gradually move in an anti-imperialist direction. They were in for a rude awakening. Oh boy. Let me read that again. The Tudeh party. leadership thought that by intensifying the anti-American aspect of the revolution and courting the support of the Soviet Union, the Islamic Republic would gradually move in an anti-imperialist direction. They were in for a rude awakening. Okay, so let's see what we got here. The executions. Oh boy, in 1988, the Islamic Republic began coordinating extrajudicial mass executions of political prisoners, including the Tudeh party, and members and supporters of other leftist political groups. Dang. The main target of these killings was the People's Mojahedin organizations of Iran, also known as MEK, a militant leftist group. So anything left, they shot that down. Khomeini issued an order for their execution, referring to them as Moharebs, those who were against Allah, and Mortards, apostates from Islam. Yikes. Using their alleged non-Islamist beliefs and actions as justification. In part, the letter read, "In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful," as the treacherous, meek, do not believe in Islam, and what they say is out of deception and hypocrisy, and as their leaders have confessed that they have become renegades, as they are waging war on God, and as they are engaged in classical warfare in the Western, the Northern, and the Southern fronts, and as they are collaborating with the Ba'athist party of Iraq and spying for Sudan against our Muslim nation, and as they tied into the world arrogance, and in light of their cowardly blows to the Islamic Republic since its inception, it is decreed that those who are in prison throughout the country and remain steadfast in their support for the MEK are waging war on God and are condemned to execution. Oh no, that is a no bueno. Where is my sound? All right, well, that's a letter that he wrote. All right, so let's see what happens now. Oh, can't show you that. Can't show you that. Can't show you that. Hopefully you didn't see that. All right, we're going to stop it right. No, I'm not going to stop, but all right, so here we go. The wave of Iranian political killings in 1988 was one of the largest mass execution of the second half of the 20th century, and the one that largely been forgotten outside of Iran or the Iranian diaspora. The exact death toll remains uncertain. Most sources agree that thousands were executed, with estimates ranging from 4,000 to 30,000 people, the majority of whom were loaded onto trucks in large groups, brought to designated sites, and hanged in masses. The Tudeh party was completely eradicated. Iran today ranks among the least free countries in the world. Gay people, LGBTQ, have virtually no rights. Same-sex behavior between gay and bi men is a crime that carries a maximum penalty of death. Indeed, thousands of LGBTQRS LMNOP people have been executed by the Iranian regime since the 1979 revolution. Women who refuse to wear their hijab risk brutal attacks, imprisonment, or even death, as much publicized case of Mahas-Jin Amini showed, and political and religious minorities live as second-class citizens or worse. How might things have turned out if the progress prior to the revolution had been allowed to continue? Wow. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading, but you have to look at my face while I read this part, because there's a picture of people being hanged and I can't show this. So it says history rhymes. All right, so I got to read this. Once I get past the image of the people being hanged, then I'll show you the... What the hell's my dog? Hey, go lay down. My dog scared the hell out of me. All right, once I get past the picture, I'll bring the image back on the screen. History Rhymes is the name of this. The trends, behaviors, and beliefs that led to the disastrous Iranian Revolution threaten to repeat themselves today in the West. We have already begun to see early glimpses. The most prominent example is the ongoing wave of mass anti-Israel and pro Hamas protests following the October 7th attacks. Not only has Hamas been a disaster for women, LGBT, and other own civilians, but the Palestinian one-state solution would result in a country as unfree as Iran, and one equally anti-ethical to left-aligned values. Jesus. Other warning signs include the case of Hamtramck, Michigan, where a progressive-backed Muslim-majority town council voted to ban pride flags. Wow. Or the spate of the young TikTokers siding with Osama bin Laden's 21-year-old letter to America. This goes beyond Islamism. Segments of the far left and Christian far right are more than willing to team up, as we've seen in recent years in European populist movements. The opposition to defending Ukraine from Russian conquest and radical lefties voting for Donald Trump to let the empire burn. The question is, why? Good question. Let's see if I can put this back up on the screen so you might not see anybody being hung. I think I can do it. Okay, we're good. There is a particular strain within the leftist thought that often exhibits a fascination with revolution and a drive to dismantle and disrupt, sometimes indiscriminately. Young and some not so young radicals see problems that exist today and with no appreciation for how far we've come, pronounce society to be irredeemably flawed. The only solution is to tear it all down. Whatever rises from the ashes, this dubious logic goes, cannot help but be better than the status quo. This perspective, while rooted in a desire for human betterment, usually leads to the precise opposite. Such revolutionary zeal is not just a desire for change, but an impulse to break existing order, often by any means necessary. As so many recite anti-Israel protest signs can attest, this includes allying with any group or ideology that opposes the current power structures. This enemy of my enemy is my friend approach leads to alliances that are at best ideologically inconsistent and at worst counterproductive to the values that many leftists traditionally uphold. In their pursuit of anti-establishment goals, many leftist factions find common ground with Islamist movements, but not because of shared values, but because of a shared opposition to the perceived imperialist or colonialist forces. The fact that Islamic fundamentalists oppose women's rights, secular government, and basic freedoms, the fact that they criminalize homosexuality and bisexuality in every society they control, is willfully overlooked by the far left in the pursuit of a common adversary. But the blanket romanticizing of perceived underdogs, often without a critical assessment of their values or intentions, risk empowering forces that, given requisite power, could establish regimes far more oppressive than those they replace. In this quest for a radical overhaul, they're willing to discard tangible progress in the pursuit of an idealized hypothetical future. In Iran, decades of progress in economic development and women's rights were thrown away in the revolution. The West today, which is so much further along, has even more to lose. The Western world as we know it has become sculpted by liberal ideas such as democracy, individual freedom, gay rights, women's rights, civil liberties, secularism, and the rule of law. 200 years ago, 3/4 of the world lived in extreme poverty. Today, this figure has decreased to less than 10%. Over this same span, life expectancy has soared in parallel with the expansion of liberal democracies. There's a misconception that our current state of well-being is a permanent, fixed baseline that we can take for granted. Instead, progress can be fragile and temporary. The rights and freedoms we enjoy today are not guaranteed tomorrow. They are recent gifts of history, not immutable laws of nature. Oh, that's a good one. The potential to regress is real. While the champions of illiberal ideas fight tooth and nail for their beliefs, the guardians of liberal values seem to slumber. They need a wake-up call. Despite facing a myriad of external adversaries, the greatest threat to liberal values come from within. In their misguided quest to dismantle the liberal order, radical elements can act as a Trojan horse. Revelations, the book of Revelations. So, big word. Surreptitiously, hopefully I said that right, opening the gates to any destructive force that aligns with their anti-liberal agenda. The unholy alliance between the Western left and the Islamic right has happened before. Let's learn the lessons of history. Whoo, shout out to a young man who wrote that there. Let me give him some shine real quick. There's the man that wrote that article, by the way. Armin Navabi. Hopefully I said your name right, gentlemen. Hopefully I said your name right. But there he is right there. That's who wrote that article. Shout out to him. Let's give you another round of applause, because that was some real shit right there. Straight up. So hopefully people can understand that the situation that we're going through has a serious consequence. And I keep tying it to Revelations 13. It seems like that what's coming, or how things are going with these liberal people and their liberal mindset, and aligning with how these Islamics are moving, because this, like he said, this ain't the first time this happened. Iran is literally a blueprint, an example of what happens when the West, the liberal West, aligns with the Islamist right. And understanding that there's a difference between Islamists and Muslims. They're not the same. You know what I mean? Then they don't see things the same. Muslims will tell you that these Islamists are terrorists. They're Satanists. They're Satanists the same way that these liberals are Satanists. The same way I showed you this guy's a Satanist. Where is he at? Where you at, TPT? There you are, right there. The same way I showed you he was a Satanist, right here. When I pulled up Tim, right here. Remove the satanic plaque from your Capitol building. Tim Walz has a satanic plaque. And then you got this little girl right here who is rocking with him. It's showing you this is your Islamic far right. This is your Western far left. They're Satanists. They are fucking Satanists. Like, that's what they run with. They Satanists. This is a plaque that's in there. This is a plaque that's in the state capitol building. They may have took it out now, but this ain't the first one they put in there. They put in more than one. There was another one that was in there. This one was another one. Look, Minnesota Satanist. And this is who, this little girl, and amongst other people, this is who they align with. These people are lining up a satanic agenda. And this time, they gonna line it up, but they gonna line it up in the form of Revelations 13. And they gonna, and now, when you line it up this time, you got AI under your power and control. You don't just have the strongest military in the world. If you conquer the West, you got the strongest military in the world with the world's strongest technology. Artificial intelligence coupled with military power is total global dominance. And ain't shit you could do to stop that. The best example we probably get of that is the Matrix. When you wonder about all them little centennial thingies was, walking around and cracking shit open. Remember, there was two worlds in the Matrix. They had to go in, and when you were in the Matrix, you had to, go to the phone booth and touch the glass to bring you back to Earth. But Earth was shitty. They was eating canned food. There was only so many of them. The only thing that gave them any glimmer of hope or fight that was left, the only thing that changed everything in the Matrix was what? Love between the two main characters, which was Keanu Reeves and that chick he was in love with. That was the only thing that solved anything. And right now in the Western society, love is being depleted like a motherfucker. So hopefully you learned something today in today's show. Hopefully I brought some awareness for you to understand something. I hope you learned something today. Went ahead and read some shit to you, because motherfuckers don't like to read. Y'all some non-reading ass people. So hopefully I read something to you and you can tie it to Revelations 13. You know what? Since you don't like to read, let me just show you Revelations 13. Jesus, you people. You people. You people. All right, let me just do this real quick for, because I know you ain't gonna read it. You're just gonna be like, oh, I heard what he said, but no, let me just give you a quick reading real quick. It ain't gonna take me long. Shut up. Here we go. Revelation 13. As we see here, because I've already read this to you a bajillion times before, I'll read it again, just this little part right here before we get out of here. Right here, I saw another beast coming out from the earth, 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. Remember, a lamb is like the image of Jesus, but speaking like a dragon is saying that it looked nice, but it spoke destruction. So deception, in other words. He exercises all authority of the first beast in his presence. He causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast. As I just read to you in that article, you better what they said, how Kamemi was fucking shit up. You better worship the first beast, or else you was gonna catch that smackdown. He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth in those signs which he granted to do in the sight of the first beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword. He granted power to give breath to the image of the first beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as who would not worship the image of the beast be killed. Either get down with a get down or get laid down. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their hand, and that no one may buy or sell except for those who have the mark. This is the direction that we're headed in. This is what they're trying to bring to fruition. And you got the United States of America, the strongest military, and you couple that with artificial intelligence, man, oh man, you got a problem. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm going to say it again. That's it for today's show. Hopefully you learned something. Thank you. Hold your applause. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you want to know the name of the article, I'll show you real quick before I leave. The name of the article is right here. This is the name of the article that I read to you today. By Any Means Necessary, Iran, Hamas, and the Left. By Armin Navabi. Armin Navabi, By Any Means Necessary. If you want to read it for yourself, there it is. Lesson learned. Lesson to America. The same playbook is being ran. They did it in Iran already. And they're telling you that they did it in Iran. And they're letting you know. And they don't want to see that shit happen again. Till next time, take care. Love y'all. Probably catch y'all tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know. Take care. Peace.
Thank you for watching D. Elliott Fitness Livestream. Goodbye.
I'd rather be in the studio than in jail or on the street. Talking the wrong, coming off your teeth. Got that one hit to quit and knock you off your feet. It's big R, baby, I'm obsolete. Pockets chunky like cottage cheese. Real nigga, I just gotta be. Smoking weed that don't gotta see. Used to be a hustler prodigy. I love when people say they proud of me. I'm eating good, smoking broccoli. Taking over blocks like Monopoly. Only fuck the ones that's my policy. Most of these hoes trying to cause a scene. Like niggas mad they not on the team. See, I got bread, then buy the dream. The game on lock, and I got the keys like Jay. My fame won't stop.